Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching American Horror Story Double Feature Part 2, Death Valley, Episode 4. I don't know. I didn't see what the title was.
It was like Future Perfect or something.
Oh, yeah. I do have a couple things that I want to say. Number one, how dare you?
Me?
No.
Oh.
Just the show in general.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, I didn't do this to you.
No. I was like, what the
someone
fuck?
else did this to you.
What the fuck?
Okay, yeah. I am also low-key furious. Really? This is it? This.
To the point where I fast forwarded through the last commercial break to watch the last scene.
Me too!
I gotta know, did they make Kaya Gerber sit there with that stupid thing on her head?
I mean, now I hope so.
It was so bad. It was so stupid. I seriously, I was living. I was loving this until the moment we caught back up with the modern day story. And I was like, oh, they're just dead? And then I was like, oh, that's dumb. And then I was like, wait, why did they just leave the bodies there? And then I was like, why are there human guards in this thing? And it just like unraveled. It just completely was like a raccoon trying to get cotton candy out of a puddle.
Well, yeah, and exactly. And it's just like you said, where I was convinced that this was a longer episode, like last night's American Crime Story, where I was like, well, there's 30 more minutes, easy. There's no way that this is the end. It didn't even end on like a cool line or like an interesting visual. It like literally just ended and Angelica Ross walked out of the room, and that was it. That was literally it. And I was like, what?
It was so stupid. I don't know. I'm really torn because, again, halfway through this episode, I was doing a victory lap. Sure, I was like, I'm willing to overlook that 5th episode or that 6th episode of Red Tide. Sure. I was like, this is the best season. The beginning was so funny. I don't know how we didn't value Mamie Eisenhower as the character that she was. But also, I mean, once we did, the show dismissed her.
Yeah.
So the Mamie Eisenhower and Valiant Thor are they're a thing. That wasn't like a one-off. I guess they're a love for the ages.
Well, I don't think I'd call them a love for the ages. But I mean, I think that they continued their liaison, if you will.
The whole Vietnam War was a distraction. Sure. All of that. I was so good. We got a comment, and I didn't remember who it was, but I thought it was great because they were like, because conspiracy was like low key theme of the season. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh my god, I hope we get flat Earth. And I did that thing where I set my heart on it that we were going to pan out to a flat Earth. I sincerely, up to and including, we got lizard people. They waited till now to give us Henry Kissinger as a lizard person. Who I love how he's not even like mincing around the corner to do it. It's like Nixon is looking slightly that way, and he's like,
yeah. So the thing for me is, it's that classic American Horror Story thing for me, where I just sort of was like, I don't understand how they so badly squandered the plot and the idea and the notion that we exchanged every piece of like the goodness of humanity for like technology.
that was meant to be the moral. That was meant to be the lesson.
And like that got so lost in it because like there was. Look, I thought Sarah Paulson's Mamie Eisenhower was one of her most inspired performances in recent memory. I
was going to say, within 2 episodes, you did a 180.
I did a flip. I like her a lot. But the problem is that, like, that's her then wanting to be immortal and, like, not wanting to die, like Ike, is so bizarre and weird. And, like,
no groundwork.
Like, no groundwork at all. No reason to believe that she wouldn't be satisfied with the legacy she had created. And then again, at the very end, no groundwork for us to believe that she is that attached to humanity when she's never cared before. And if she were so selfish as to only want immortality for herself, then why would she care that they were going to exterminate all the humans? None of those things check with the rest.
I was going to say, the only thing they established even less than that was her 11th hour turnaround.
It was
by
so
that point,
weird.
I had just accepted that she was content to live in this pink caftan for
which was exquisite. It was like so flowy.
I'm very, very torn because we're 10 seasons and 11 years into this reign.
We should have known. We should have known.
Well, we did, and but that's where I'm torn. Is because I don't think I'm saying anything unique or bringing anything new to the table by complaining about the poor plotting or pacing or scripting or yada yada in the final episode of American Horror Story. And I'm very torn between the 3.5 brilliant episodes they gave us. There's a part of me that I'm like, there's an old Mitch Hedberg joke where he's like, I'm not gonna not eat an apple because eventually it's gonna be a core. Like,
sure,
I got so much out of it. I'm not angry. I'm more fascinated. I'm more sort of like, how did this happen? And and I remember someone who was an apologist of the show was one of our favorite writers, Price Peterson. And he was talking about how, the show rejects reality and rejects storytelling conventions and follows dream logic. And there are cases to be made for that off and on throughout the entire series. But there is no part about the last 20 minutes of this show that is the ending to what we've been watching. The point of this show was not the integration of the aliens, the success. I mean, why did we spend that entire insufferable scene in the first episode getting to know these four yahoos, these four characters, for them to be
totally inconsequential at the end?
Callously dismissed. It's like
so callously.
Many American Horror Story seasons have this issue where it's like a lot of times in order to decide whether or not I like it, I need to A, have watched the entire series, and B, sometimes even watched it again, and C, put time between me in it. It's like I need to get the ending before because it's like they don't decide on what the story is until the end. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because that was an issue with Coven where it's like I've spent enough time with Coven that I know that it's building up. Like we have this whole kind of like the witches versus the hunters and all this stuff in the middle. And then it resorts back to an episode of America's Next Top Model. And it's like, now that I know that, I've made my peace with that. But like, I can't stress how jarring it was watching it in the moment where it's like, there's a lot to be said about the writing on the show, good and bad. I also think the pacing, I don't know. I'm so frustrated because this was so interesting and so cool and so funny. Maybe Eisenhower's Deep Throat.
For the ages.
I could
up there with Dick, for sure.
I could never.
Up there with Dick, 100%. Here's the thing for me is I think that they had a chance with Double Feature to do something really interesting. And it goes back to what you said before about like everything being sort of like a take on conspiracy theories. For like the first one to be a really local sort of homespun conspiracy theory, that's interesting. I like that it's just this town, it's just this little town in New England where like weird stuff happens in the winter times and like blah, 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 whatever. And so it's like to the point, I'm at the point now with Red Tide where I'm like, I can forgive that last episode. It was like kind of
just
stupid.
Just watch it.
Sure. Yeah.
Or even if you do, it's like, okay, whatever.
But that's the thing is I can forgive a kind of weak finale on top of, 5 excellent episodes of television. That's fine. But the thing is like, then they didn't go hard enough with the conspiracy in this one. Like alien stuff, I think is ripe for, exploration. Alien conspiracy theories, that's fascinating. I would have really liked something that focused a little bit more on that. And I think the biggest mistake they made, and I say this as somebody who really enjoyed the present day stuff up until this very ending, I think they split their focus in a way that was very unsatisfying. Like, I think if they had focused on the new stuff or the old stuff, it would have been, either one of those would have been more satisfying than splitting their focus this way. Because I think if it was something where it was like, if it all happened in the 50s, 60s, 70s, that would have been fun. And we like kind of get the lead up to it.
Even with like, this ending.
Yeah.
Even with this ending. Sure. But the pullback was like, okay, I totally get that. Look at what we've
traded. Like, look at what we've traded just for this, just for the ability to have this, supercomputer in our pocket. That would be a really, and especially if Ike had still been alive too, You know what I mean? Like if they had forced Ike to still be alive and he was there at the end and he was like still sort of like, I can't believe I've done this, blah, blah, blah. Like I would have never, blah, 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 whatever. And so that's the kind of thing where it's like, as much as I liked the present day stuff and, you know, Kaya Gerber and all of the rest of them, you know, it just doesn't totally sit with the rest of it. It's like we watched a triple feature. This was not just 2 things. It was 3 things and it didn't work.
I wasn't sure I was going to be with you, but because I do think they nailed the conspiracy part with this far better. But that aside, I completely agree with all of that, because the old timey story, the like the 50s, the 60s, all of that was the super schlocky sci-fi, like conspiracy, the aliens are coming, blah, blah, blah. The new stuff was meant to be intimate and character driven. And but there was not enough there. There was not enough characters to drive. Sure. But I'm saying that's what they were going for. So to give the intimate and character driven story, the dun 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 ending, it didn't, it sort of voided the efficacy of both of the stories they were telling.
I agree completely.
That's very, very interesting. I never really thought about it. It's almost like it's a requisite. Like, it's almost like there's some Angelica Ross-like presence that comes in the 11th hour of every season of American Horror Story to give them like interesting, I see what you've crafted. Now make this work. And it's like, if you would have just told me from the beginning, I could have made that work.
Sure. It's like on Iron Chef, sometimes they have like a surprise secret ingredient that they have to use. And it comes in like 15 minutes into the hour that they have to like incorporate into the rest of the dishes. And you're just like, where am I putting peanut butter in like battle bok choy? Like, what am I doing here? This is so ridiculous. I just like, that's how I feel about it, where it's just like, this doesn't go with the rest of what you've done.
Like I said, Vietnam War distraction, Mamie Eisenhower, deep throat, Henry Kissinger, little lizard person, Valiant Thor. I laughed out loud that Valiant Thor basically just fingered Richard Nixon into doing what he wanted him to do.
Right up the butt.
Right up the butt. And now he's singing like a canary.
Now he's like, I'll resign. Just don't put anything else on my butt.
I loved all of that so much that it's just sort of like, I don't know.
Yeah. It also, the ending of Leslie Grossman's character felt a little strange, that she was willing to
She was kind of cool, but who is Calico? Like, what?
No.
What?
It just also, for her to just be so willing to be like, yeah, sure, kill the rest of humanity. I'll be the mother of all of these alien babies. That didn't totally check.
Or even like for her to be with all that she's witnessed, how many decades she's witnessed with these people, and that Mamie Eisenhower like throws I don't suppose you thought we could, and she's just like on a dime. I don't know. Yeah. It was all kind of bleh. So, I mean, my consensus isn't this was bad, don't watch it. I actually, quite frankly, will probably recommend this season, both parts, to people with the...
just with a caveat, with a little grain of salt. Just be like, they both end kind of weird and mediocre.
Again, I still maintain this was not an ending. I think there's another episode coming. Is there? Do we know? Are we sure?
This is episode 10. I mean, if there is another episode coming, no one said anything to me.
Is this a 13-episode season? I gotta...
I don't think so. Could you imagine, though?
I would feel vindicated.
Super weird. Not at all what I was expecting, or really what I was hoping for. I'm, like, honestly a little disappointed. I was, like, even after the, like, mediocre finale for Red Tide, I still was hopeful.
We thought maybe 4. Maybe 4. It's not 4.
It's gotta be 5. It has to be 5. That's the only explanation. It's the only explanation. I have no other words besides it has to be 5 episodes is the sweet spot for a Ryan Murphy joint. Like, that has to be it. I don't know any other way.
I'm just so mad that I have to think about lizard people the whole way home. I don't know. This is because we're bargaining in real time. Yeah. We're at that stage of grief. I don't know. I think the reason why this hurts so much is that it was going so well.
Yeah. This is definitely the closest we've gotten to total success in
but it's just
like years.
We got no questions answered, like, because we did get, we got a comment that it was as simple as their previous world was dying, and I think you're right when you started the whole time. If this part was meant to be about sacrificing our humanity for technology,
like an allegory, that would have been interesting, but this didn't end in a satisfying allegorical or like a fable or a morality tale or anything. It didn't have a satisfying ending like that. Because there was like really, I mean, maybe Eisenhower's head explode, presumably they're going to kill humanity, but like we didn't witness anything that was the conclusion of a morality tale or an allegory. And so that's kind of the thing where I'm like, then what was the point of any of this if we're not going to do anything that's successful commentary about it? You know, like it's just like very unsatisfying at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like it didn't know what it was trying to say the whole time, and so it just sort of stuttered to an ending, to a stop. Not even an ending; it just stopped.
Yeah, I was gonna say it didn't stutter even. It face first at full speed into a wall.
Oh man.
God, the fucking. I'm just back to Kai Gerber sitting with that thing on her head.
Yeah. Real weird.
It's my fault. Joke's on me.
Fool me twice. Fool me 9 times.
So, okay, well, hopefully you had fun. I mean, I mostly had fun. Hell, even this part's fun.
Yeah.
Because each time I think I'm prepared. Each time I think I'm fully braced for the incredible density of failure. And yet somehow.
Because the problem is that they like make it so good up until the moment that it's not. And then it just, especially this one, this is the first time that I have never been at least like very entertained by a finale of an American Horror Story. Like I'm always entertained, even if I think it's stupid. And I was mostly bored this episode.
Oh, I disagree. Like I said, I maintain what I said up until the switch over, the halfway
was great,
point.
And then I was just like, "What are we doing? What's the point?"
My favorite
doesn't make
was
any sense.
Ronnie, the guard with the face hugger on his face, and then all of the other guards shooting him in the face. I laughed so hard at that.
That was pretty fun. I was like, "What the fuck?"
So okay, well, you know the drill, the like and subscribe and Patreons and all that stuff, and we're just trying to give it a go in this cruel world. So
toss a coin to your content creator.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, well, I guess bye.
Yep. Bye.